Hello everyone and welcome back. Today's part we will add weapons to our game. We will create by creating a new file called weapon.py. We will make our weapon class. I will start by importing Pygame. So let's make a class called weapon. And yes, we can start by initializing the class, but we will not have X and Y, we will have image for now. This weapon class will have self and image, which of course we need the image to display the weapon. Let's go to main file. So for the image, I will use the arbalest.png on my assets folder in the weapons. I found this online. You can make it yourself or find free art like this. I will link it in this description. We have arrow for the bow tablet to shoot, or we have both. You can choose it. I was planning to start with arbalest and change the weapon in the future. If we want to, we can have different weapons in the game. So basically, we can get the image load image. I will call it image, which will be the Pygame image load assets weapons arbalest.png, and we will and this will be our input for the weapon class. In the weapon class, we will have some variables which will be self dot image equals image. Usually, same mistake. As you know, usually we start the classes like this, but in this case, we will have the original image and the image we will display because this weapon, the arbalest, will follow our mouse movements. So I will say this can stay. I will call it original image. The image we will get from the main file, and the image we will display will be the pygame dot transform and rotate. And it will be the self dot original image and at angle. We will display our weapon in a specific angle that we will receive from the mouse movements. And of course, we also need a self dot angle, which will be 0 for initializing. Same mistake again. Self dot image. Okay. So now in main, let's import our weapon. From weapon, import weapon. We are importing the weapon from the weapon class. We are getting the weapon image from our assets. Under the player character, we can create the weapon. Last will be our weapon, which will have the arbalest image. Let's see if there's problems. Nope, seems like there's no problems. We don't see the image yet because we are not calling it. So, but I think we successfully created our weapon. So, back to our weapon class. What we will have is a rectangle, same as our character. So we can place our image in the rectangle. We will get the image. Yeah. And we will have two functions for now, which will be update and drop for the beginning. So let's start by saying update self, and we will have the player because we will be placing the weapon on the player. So I will just make a command class. Weapon will be placed player. So we can start by centering our rectangle. Rectangle dot center equals layer dot rectangle center. So we will center the weapon in our layer, and then we will move it on the screen, which will have the self and screen dot bleed, which will have the self image and self rectangle. So now we created update and draw. We can add this to our loop. After updating the player, we can update the weapon, and we will give it the player. So we know where the weapon needs to be, and then we will add ibls.draw on screen. So let's see now if it's working. Yes, as you can see, our ibls on the player, it's centered on the rectangle, but we will fix it in a moment. Also, another problem, we have our rectangle, but our character stays out of it. So we will need to center this character into our rectangle. So let's go to constants. After scaling we are already scaling the player, so we will need an offset for the player, which will, let's try, I don't know, let's say 10, because as you know, in my player character, we have some empty space on top of us. So we will try to offset this. And to be able to offset, we will go to our character class. And when we drove, actually let's test something quickly, because from the last video, if you remember, we are giving our player the index of the image we want to display. So we give it 0 as 0. If we give it 1 and check, our character is almost centered, which is good. Same with 2. This is also not centered, but it's not our priority at the moment. If I give other one, it's almost centered too, so the offset will be for the player. So I will say player offset, and let's fix to 0. Player. We will go back to our character draw class and we will, when we are blitting on the screen, we will check if self dot character type is player, which we are having the character type. It seems like we are not initializing, so I will also do that quickly. Self dot character type will be the character type. I forgot to add this before, so if you are following around, don't forget to add this too. If the character type is player, or you can just say 0, which is totally fine, because character type will be the index 0. So if the character type is the 0, we will have it. We will change the offset, else it will be the same. Okay. So if the character type is 0, which means our player image, we will need to give it some offset, but else we will just draw it normal as the others. So instead of self.rect, we will need to say, let's already say itself, self.rect x and self.rect y. As you remember, it was okay in the x coordinates, but it was not, it had offset in the y, so we are just giving the same x, but for y we will be needing to calculate the offsets. And in our contents now we have player offset. We will say, okay, constants player offset. As also, if you remember, we are giving a scale in our scale image function, so we can scale the player. And this will cause problems if you don't multiply with this also. So we will also scale the offset so it can have the correct size. I think this should work. Let's try it out. And now, as you can see, our player is almost offset, but we can tweak it a little bit. Let's say 13. Size more. No, my hair is too. I think this is okay. This can stay like this. And now we are drawing our character inside of the rectangle. And if we change the character, the player, it's still the same. We can also fix this later, but for now it's enough. And when we go back to our character, our weapon needs some fixes too. First of all, I want it to be bigger because you can barely see it, and we will change the position. So I am going back to constants. We have player offset. I will say weapon scale. Say 2 for now. And when we call our ibelest image, we can just scale it using our scale image function. So I will ibelest image scale. Oh, I love this. It will just scale automatically. Let's see now. Now it is bigger. It's even bigger than our character, which we don't also want this. So let's go 1.7, a little bit smaller. This is almost the same size as character. Let's go a little bit smaller, like just a tiny bit. Okay, this is not bad, and it's centered in the rectangle. And maybe let's first change the position so we will also give an offset to our weapon so we can have it in a better position on the screen. Also, we will get the mouse position for our character, and it will move according to our mouse position. So in date function, get mouse position, which will be the mouse position, Pygame mouse get position. Yes. And then we will need to calculate the angle according to our mouse so the weapon can move. We will say, actually, this is exactly what we will say. We already declared our angle when initializing, and it will get the mouse position 1, which is our y, and it will get mouse position 0, which is our x, and then it will get the position of rectangle y and x, but we need to import math to able to use multipliers. And now let's see if it's working. It doesn't. Let's check y. Math. It's on 2. Okay, maybe we should do it old school more. So we will have x distance, which will be positioned from the mouse 0, and we will center. Now we will center we'll get the center x of the rectangle, yes. And then we will have the y distance, which will be mouse position 1, and get the center of the y. And the self angle will be degrees of math, and there's no minus 90. I don't think it's necessary. And now let's see. I'm still not seeing it. What's the problem? I'm not getting the angle. Oh, yes, of course. We are not drawing it. We are getting the angle, but if we don't draw it on the screen, what's the point? So positioned image, which will have self image, Pygame transfer, rotate. Yeah, we will rotate the original image in the angle, and then we will draw it in on screen. Now, when we see it is moving in the center, but this is not what we want. Also, our initial image points on the top right of the screen, so we need to give it some, like, I think 45 degrees of angle. So I say minus 45. It's, yes, now it's almost pointing to our mouse. And like minus 50. This part is like mostly tweaking. You can try which looks better for your case. And yes, we also have another problem. As you can see, my mouse, we are going in the opposite directions. That's because we are getting the position of the Y, but in Pygame, Y increase is going down. So I will just multiply this by minus. And this should make us move in the correct position, yes. And it is almost pointing to my pointer, but not correct. So let's say 47. Better. So when I point to the enemy, it will. Was 45 correct? Okay. This is not bad. We can change it later if you don't like it. So we are getting our degree, but you need to offset our weapon. So it will not be on top of our player, which is looking weird. At least it does follow the mouse. So let's add offset. Basically, we will update the blade for our weapon offset. We will offset it for smooth motion. For smooth motion position. We will say surface dot fillet. It will get the size dot image, of course, that we will draw. And then we need to give it position. Like we were giving like the rectangle of the position automatically, but this time we will do it manually. So we can have the properties we want to have. I will say self dot like dot center x. We will get your it by self dot image dot get width and what's the surface get width, and we will get width function. We will divide it by 2 so we can get the center. This will be our first position. Then we will have a self dot select center y, almost same as the one with x, and self dot image dot get height function, and we will also divide it by 2. So basically we will get the position, center position, and it will make a smooth transition. And now we can edit the distance we want from the player's center. Okay, so basically I've changed my PNG file. It was centered for the eyelet, but now I give it some space on the middle. So it will be centered on the player kind of. So when I start the game again, as you can see, it's rotating on my player. When we move, it follows our mouse, which is fine. I will add also the bow image, which will be we'll scale it also, yes. And let's create bow. This will be the bow. I say play. We don't have it. Why? Of course, we are not calling it. Say, or yeah, whatever. I just want to see how it looks. Oh, but update, it will have the same as the Angularist. Whoa, low screen. And now we have two weapons. You can use the one you like. I think I will follow with the arbalete. I don't know, I just like it better. But there's two options you can use. And also another thing I want to change, because we are now using our mouse and keyboard at the same time, and using arrow keys is getting more difficult, so I will make it that we can also use WASD. I will say or event key A for the left, or D for the down, or W for the up, and or so that P equals Pygame dot K S for down. A left, D right, W up, S down. And of course it goes same for the here. A for left, D for right, W for up, and S for down. Let's try it. I use my WASD and it's working. I am rotating my mouse, it's rotating. Now we have a weapon. We even have two weapons we should consider. So at this point you can choose which one you want to use. I am using the arbalete, but bow is also an option. And in the future I am planning to use both of them in different orders, like you can collect weapons and choose weapons and stuff. So this was all for this video. I will update the code in GitHub, and thank you for watching, and see you at the next part.